Hey guys, Manjoume here, and what I want to do today is figure out what the best way to use Remote Play is. And of course, there's a few devices that can use Remote Play. There's a couple phones from Sony Ericsson that can do it. Some of the Sony computers can do it, and even any computer can do it if you have the right software. And then there's the PSP, PSPGo, and the PlayStation Vita. And what they basically can do is play streamed media such as music, even CDs, MP3s that is, and CDs, videos that you have downloaded but not DVDs, and it'll play some very few PS3 games, no PS2 games, no DVDs, no Blu-Rays, and it'll play every PlayStation 1 Classic digitally and CD-ROMs, the discs. So the focus today will be playing those discs and the downloaded PS1 Classics. And right here, we're on the screen of my PSPGo, and let's go into it. We have two options. We can connect over the internet and private network. The internet option is a little more involved, so we'll kind of touch on that one second. But first of all, we'll look at the private network. What the private network is basically your PS3 directly talking to your device, be it PSP, PSPGo, Vita, whatever. And that's a connection that is good only if you're in the same room as the device. So if my PS3 is in my room and I'm using private network in my room, I'm using my PSPGo, it's great, 100% connection. If I start to leave the room, it starts to go down and it just becomes unplayable. And I'm going to show off how it plays in the same room, maybe a foot away, foot and a half away. So we had that connection that we had already established. And the point of this isn't to be a tutorial, it's to be some information and to see which is the best setting to do so. And coming off the cuff of the PS Vita being able to stream PS4 content via Remote Play of their own, I figured that it's a cool idea and I do like it. I like being able to play my games that I wouldn't maybe normally be able to play on a device, in my lap, in my hands, while watching TV, passively, that is. So right now we're streaming the PS3 and we are connected to PSN over there, and I'm actually not sure if I can send messages, but so it's at least letting me take a look at them, so that's cool. That was just me being curious. Alright, so let's go ahead and boot up Spyro the Dragon. Now, of course, you're loading a disc, you're loading a game, and then that's going to be sent to the PSP. So times may vary, but we're doing a pretty good connection. And I'll actually check out the connection status, and we're at 100%. The connection could not be stronger right now, so this will be the best that it'll be just possible, period. And we'll wait till a video comes up and say, okay. Now it's looking pretty good. No stuttering or anything like that. So, looking pretty good. No real complaints yet. Alright. Accessing the memory cards. And I'm glad it's the right one because I've been moving around my memory cards because, I want to play PS2 games and then you gotta move them around, and I have them organized, but I don't always have them set back up the right way. But, alright, so our game loaded up. or our game came up and will now load it. And we're loading, so we're going to be waiting a little bit, but PS1 games, so take what you can get. Alright, next we're going to see how the gameplay is. The video looks fine, as smooth as it's going to be. And we're going to check out the controls for this. Alright. Not the best, and the video doesn't look too great. But again, this is PSP hardware we're working with. Let's see. This isn't too bad. There's a bit of a delay, but yeah, there's a noticeable delay on this one. But let's say alright, and this is actually something I didn't know coming into this, that when you're using a PS DualShock 3 on a PS1 game, that, well, normally when you're using it for your PSP games, the L and R button will be mapped to L1, and L2 will just be L because PSP only has the 1, and same on the right side. But for PS1 games, it actually does seem to be reading my L2 and R2 as being the correct buttons, which is pretty cool. That's something I really and truly did not know before. That's a kind of a plus. Let's see if I can make it up here. There is a delay, but I'm gonna see if there's enough of a delay to where I can't just see if it's unplayable. And this will definitely come into play on a platformer, any kind of game, to be honest. Unless you're like a strategy game or like an RPG where reflexes aren't an issue, but it's still annoying. Okay. So controlling him, it's like maybe a second or two delay. Well, yeah. Oh, it's a noticeable delay. I don't know how much, but it does not feel that good. Alright, but it's, you know, it does it, and it works for the most part. Lag aside, it does technically work. There we go. Alright, so let's see, we'll do PS button, and we'll just go ahead and turn off the console because I want to go through and establish that this all can be done. Alright, so I don't know if you'll be able to hear it when it does so, but my PlayStation 3 is being turned off right now. The lights are going off. Just went off. Alright, that's great. Alright, this is where I've had some issues with the Remote Play, and it's over the Wi-Fi connection. And again, this is I have the most optimal settings for this, at least in a house. My PS3 is connected via Ethernet cable. It's, well, that's pretty much it. It has remote start and all the other necessities. So we're going to connect via a internet connection, and I don't know what the problem is with this. Oh, and of course you have to sign in with your PS ID because you're accessing it potentially from a different place in the world, different house, city, whatever. But if you have a good connection, this is a very very good way to get your content, because you know what, I can play my PS1 games, Jedi Power Battles, my Spyro the Dragon. I can play that anywhere where there's internet, or I don't know about using 3G to tether off of it. I don't know if that'd even be playable, but playing it like at a cafe or McDonald's is it's kind of cool to be able to do that, and it's just useful. If you're at a friend's house, you want to do that. And again, we're using Wi-Fi, and it's not looking great, but give the benefit of the doubt because in this instance, we don't have to be right next to the Remote Play, the PS3. We don't have to be right next to it using internet. So we could potentially be in the living room. We could be farther away. We could be in a different house, which is better. It's I think if you're in the same room, you might as well just do a private connection if you're going to be near that. But if you're going to be walking around the house, leaving, but within your Wi-Fi boundaries, you're better off just using the private. If you're moving around, then just go with the Wi-Fi. And that's the theory. And the point I was trying to make already is with my Wi-Fi, using Wi-Fi with the PSPGo, is that you can hear it. The audio is still going, so the PS3 is still processing. It's still going. It's doing its job. But the PSPGo's screen, we still have that Universal Interactive Studios screen. And that's just kind of where it dies. And it's not a specific place where it dies. It just kind of dies. And it's done that countless times, so it's a reoccurring thing. And we'll check out how the PS Vita and the PSP 2000 actually, work with this. So we'll see if it's just the PSPGo, if it's the PSPs in general that have this problem, or what's really going on. Alright? So here's a PSP 2000 connected via... Here is a PSP 2000 connected via direct connection, as you can see here, with the PlayStation 3. And we're pretty close. So we're going 100%. And I actually hadn't planned on doing this, but we're going to leave the room. Alright, now we're in another room. And already we've dropped a few percent. Sometimes 100%, sometimes 97%. So PS3 is right there. So we're still on 100% for now. Changes a little bit. Let's see if we go behind a wall. If that changes anything. Alright, still at 100. Alright, let's say we want to... Okay, we dropped to 90%, 97%, 90%, 87%, 85%. So it is fluctuating, and let me turn that light on. We are relatively in this area, which is not too far from the PS3. So, okay, now we're at 100%. We were standing over here, went down to 70%. So it does fluctuate, and if you're not in the same room, it's going to be pretty iffy. And that just is the same case with the PSPGo. Alright, so next we're going to use a Wi-Fi connection using the PSP 2000. Alright, now we're connected via a Wi-Fi connection. So again, if we were out of the house or something, we'd be able to still play. So this time we'll take a look, and we're at 100%. We're using Wi-Fi. That's all it is. And let's see the quality. And let's see if it just kind of bugs out on us and dies, like it did on the PSPGo. Again, that could be my PSPGo. It could be PSPGos in general. It could be a multitude of things that could be wrong with it. But so far, so good, and we're able to play, or at least watch the intro screen of Spyro the Dragon. So, we'll see. We'll just kind of leave it there, and if at some point the screen just gets stuck, then we'll know it's kind of a PSP thing, I suppose. Although I do hope it's not the case. I'd rather it just be maybe my PSPGo, maybe that's... Alright, I do hear things. Okay, stuff is going on. And again, it's frozen right here using Wi-Fi. Now that's either a coincidence or it's a PSP thing. So, of course, let's go to private first because it's been what we've been doing. It's just what we've been doing, so let's just stay the course. Alright, so already it's looks pretty good. And of course, turn up the volume, get higher volume. But let's go ahead and just get some gameplay, because I do think that's the more telling of the format. And again, once we get it loaded up, okay. Again, we're right here, so we are not far from the console, so the remote play should be pretty good. And, you know, anywhere in this room pretty much should be about as good. I'm not saying you need to be right on top of the console or sitting right next to it, but at least on the PSPs, you had to be pretty close. So, oops. Alright, so the reactions to, you know, moving the stick to the actual movement, they're a lot better than what we were getting on the PSPGo. So that's a plus already via private connection. The Vita has one out. So let's go ahead and... How am I going to do this? Actually, I wonder if this will work. I just cut off the settings. And I'm going to start it again. This time I'll go via the internet. And when I actually did ask online on Reddit which would be the most optimal settings for this, and I was told that Internet Vita would be the best. And I can see why. And again, it's pretty good. Not, you know, perfect, but I was using this to play a couple days ago, and it was playable. It was really playable. I went through a couple levels until I had to do other things, but it was definitely playable. The only thing I can say that the PSP has over this version is that when you're using a controller, you get L2, R2, and with this, you use the back of the touchscreen, which, you know, it works, you know, but sometimes your fingers might get lost, like, am I pressing it? No, you're pressing R3, because that's what's down here. So, it works, and it has its purpose, but, again, controller is just better for it, in my opinion, and I think most people would agree. And then that's where the PlayStation TV is going to come in once that gets announced, or not announced, but when it releases, because we'll be able to use the DualShock 3. So, once again, I think that'll be the optimal setting, because then, you know, I can have my PS3 in my room. It'll sit there. When I'm at home, if I'm in the room I want to play a PS1 game, hey, I can just play it on the Vita. Or even have a PlayStation TV in my room. Maybe I'll have the PlayStation TV in my living room, and I'll use it via Wi-Fi, because with that kind of distance, I don't think the connection for private would be that great. Alright, so in the end, we've seen that the Vita is the definitive way to use Remote Play to play PS1 games, PS1 classics on as the handheld or away from your console. So, as a bonus, I figured, let's see how the Vita handles distance using the private connection. So, once again, we'll connect via private, and we'll take it on the go. So, this is my room. And before we leave the room, let's see that we've got a connection established. Alright, so we've walked away. And let's walk farther than we actually went when it was with the PSP. And let's see if we even have control yet. That is, I don't know if I'd call that the same, but that's still pretty good. So at least, you know, so far, it's definitely a better connection. Alright, so in the end, the PSP 2000 and the PSPGo both did okay using the private connection, but you really couldn't go very far with it. And then with the internet connection, they started off promising, but ultimately just kind of froze both of the consoles. So, not really that viable. I like the idea, just I guess that generation just wasn't going to work, or maybe they've changed the way the PSN connects with the PSPs. Alright, when it comes to the Vita, this is the way that you want to do remote play. And then when the PlayStation TV comes out, it'll probably be up there, maybe better, because you can use a controller. We'll see how that works out. But for right now, the best way is the Vita, because via a private connection, it is good, and it remained playable when we walked away from the room, which is a really big plus. Then, once we got to the Wi-Fi, it didn't crash on us, and that's a big improvement on the other two. And it remained playable, and I don't know if it's better than private connection, but they're both really good. And depending where you are, you know, if it proves that I can do private connection even when leaving the room, going to another part of the house, that's great. If not, Wi-Fi works just fine. Out of the house, Wi-Fi, and that is it. Vita.